favor? Any opposed? Passed. Resolution 18236, a resolution authorizing tax credits and refunds totaling $1,965.05 due to a judgment of the tax court. Motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? And Resolution 18237, authorizing contracts with certain approved state vendor contracts pursuant to NJSA 4811-121 with respect to fire department protective personnel and equipment. Motion, Michael.
So moved.
Second. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Any other resolutions to be added by anyone?
And Mayor, just really quickly, I just want to just say that as for bunker pants, jackets, and boots, the equipment that the fire department's getting, just to let you know what equipment that specifically is.
Your size? Proclamations, there are two. One is Fire Prevention Week, October 7th through the 13th, 2018. This is our usual fire department proclamation. Whereas the Borough of Red Bank is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living and visiting our municipality. And whereas fire is a serious public safety concern, both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at greatest risk from fire. And whereas home fires killed 2,735 people in the United States in 2016, according to the National Fire Protection Association, and fire department in the United States responded to 352,000 home fires. And whereas the majority of U.S. fire deaths, 4 out of 5, occur at home each year. And whereas the fire death rate per 1,000 home fires reported to the U.S. Fire Department was 10% higher in 2016 than in 1980. And whereas Red Bank's residents should identify the places in their homes where fires can start and eliminate those hazards, and whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half. And whereas Red Bank's residents should install smoke alarms in every sleeping room, outside each separate sleeping area, and on every level of the home. And whereas Red Bank's residents should listen for the sound of the smoke alarm, and when it sounds, respond by going outside immediately to the designated meeting place. And whereas Red Bank's residents who have planned and protected a home escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. And whereas Red Bank's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through the prevention and protection education. And whereas Red Bank residents are responsive to public education measures and are able to take action to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. And whereas the 2018 Fire Prevention Week theme, Listen, Look, Learn, Be Aware, Fire Can Happen Anywhere, effectively serves to remind us that we need to take personal steps to increase our safety from fire. Therefore, I must call Madam Mayor, Borough of Red Bank, who hereby proclaim October 7th through the 13th as Fire Prevention Week throughout the borough, and urge all the people of Red Bank to be aware of their surroundings, look for available ways out in the event of fire or other emergency, respond when smoke alarm sounds by exiting the buildings immediately to support the many public safety activities and efforts of Red Bank's Fire and Emergency Services during Fire Prevention Week 2018. I can take this opportunity before the resolution is adopted to thank Dr. Roach and the school staff who was here for their, again, their partnership. I'm not talking about partnerships with council meetings, but their partnership with the fire department in opening up the doors to our public schools for the training. And I have to say that in speaking to some of the little kids, as Commissioner Whalen will testify, they probably know more as a result of that educational effort of the fire department rules in terms of a fire than their parents and certainly their grandparents. So I think the educational aspect of what our volunteers, and they are volunteers, have been doing has paid off in terms of educating for future generations. I know Frankie Woods is here, former Chief Woods of our volunteer fire department. He's done a lot of the training and a lot of other of our volunteer professionals. So they are instilling the seed of the younger children in knowing what to do when that education was sadly lacking, 40, 50 years ago. So thank you for doing what you do. Next, we have the proclamation regarding breast cancer awareness, October 2018. Whereas October 19th is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and whereas October is National Mammography Day, and whereas for women in the United States, breast cancer death rates are higher than those for any other cancer besides lung cancer, and whereas breast cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer among American women besides skin cancer, and whereas 1 in 8 U.S. women, about 12%, will develop invasive breast cancer over the course of her lifetime. In 2017, an estimated 252,710 new cases of invasive breast cancer were expected to be diagnosed in women, along with 63,410 new cases of non-invasive breast cancer. And whereas about 2,470 new cases of invasive breast cancer were expected to be diagnosed in men in 2017, statistics for men's breast cancer is 1 in 1,000. And whereas death rates from breast cancer have been declining and dose changes are thought to be the results of treatment advances through earlier detection through screening and increased awareness, and whereas mammography, an X-ray of the breast can detect breast cancer up to 2 years before physical symptoms can be seen or felt. Now therefore be it resolved that I, as Parliamentary Mayor Borough, hereby declare October 19, 2018, as well as October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month and Mammography Day for October 19th in the Borough of Red Bank, as we show our support for those struggling with this terrible disease and remember those who have lost their battle to said disease. I encourage all citizens to help promote awareness of what can be done to prevent breast cancer. Any other proclamations or any old business? Old business deals with this resolution. I had the extraordinary opportunity last night dealing with having been invited to spend an evening with pediatric cancer survivors from Monmouth Medical Center at one of the local restaurants in Seabright, hosted by Tim McClure. And it was an extraordinarily humbling experience to see the tenacity, the diligence, the faith, and the energy that these kids have. So it was an honor with Mayor Dina Long and myself to be able to spend a couple of hours with these kids and giving us a little bit more encouragement to deal with whatever challenges we have, because they pale in relationship to what these kids go through, but fortunately we have medical facilities that are dealing with it. I know that, yeah. Oh, we get to the bills last. Any new business?
Mayor, just something I want to put on the council's radar, and maybe we can discuss it in depth at the next workshop meeting. I'm not sure if you're all aware of the special ruling that was issued by the ABC with regard to craft breweries in New Jersey, but considering the fact that we have 3 coming into town in the very near future, it's something we may need to consider passing a resolution or something in support of relaxing those rules a little bit. It severely hampered the ability of craft breweries to operate in the manner they've been operating since 2012. And since it's an entertainment destination, we want to be business friendly. We don't want to hamper businesses before they get going. I think we might want to encourage the state to reconsider those rules.
That would be an appropriate thing for us to discuss at the workshop. We have one coming up. I've already asked the administrator to put it on, seeing that was going to be affecting us in some way. Other towns are doing it. So that will be on our workshop agenda. The next one we have, I think is October
Next week.
3rd. Yeah, next week. Yeah. So thank you for bringing it up, but we had already spoken about that. So thank you. Anything else? If not, resolution 18-238, a resolution for the payment of bills be resolved by the Mayor and Council. The following bills are paid on the attached check register, totaling $3,212,949.42. Motion so moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Audience, any members? Mr. Colmorgan.
Carl Colmorgan, 67 Oakland Street, Red Bank. I didn't think I'd ever have to bring this up at a council meeting again, but an incident occurred with me this morning that quite upset me. I saw 2 parking people emptying the meters, and I asked them about parking on Oakland Street, as I noticed there are some charter school people that park there and go to work. We also have a borough employee who is now taking up residence and parks on Oakland Street all day long. The affordable housing unit, which had on-site parking, is taking up 5 or 6 spaces during the day, all day long. I asked the gentleman if they would look into it, and there was some sly comment. I don't know what it was, because I still can't figure out what he said to me. But I was upset, and I don't think it's necessary. I'm just asking that they check into it and maybe enforce the parking. I come off the street corner and I come home, I have no place to park. I can't park at the railroad station until 11 o'clock or I gotta pay. I think some consideration goes to the people who live as residents on the block. Thank you.
Thank you. Make sure the hour limits are enforced, yeah. And we have an administrator who follows through on that stuff these days. Any other members of the public? Ms. Burnham?
Cindy Burnham, 71 Wallace. Quick question. I'm just wondering why the baseball field at Eastside Park has been let to grow. It's growing in. Why did we do that? I'm looking at Eric because he's Parks and Rec. You don't know why it's like that?
No, I said, he did.
I mean,
Did you hear the question there?
Yeah, I don't know why it's being cut.
it's not being taken care of. It's all.
Are you talking about the grass, Cindy, or are you?
No, I'm talking about the
The
baseball
maintenance.
field,
Okay.
the diamond. It's totally grassed out. And I'm wondering, are you just waiting for this grant?
No, that's routine maintenance. It'll be
But I
done.
thought other schools used it and everything, so I don't understand. You know, the charter school uses it and stuff. Well, anyway, so you don't know?
We'll look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Ms.
Allison Gregory, 109 Bank Street. Just a question for you. If you're in current litigation with a homeowner in town, can that homeowner get a summons or a ticket? Do we know the answer to that? Can you ticket someone that's in current litigation? I was told
I know you're
otherwise.
referring to, we actually have a meeting scheduled with code enforcement. I've come up with some ideas to address the situation in Superior Court rather than municipal court.
Okay, but, I mean, Mayor, you've been here for 12 years. He's been there since the 80s. You've been on council for 18 years before
What's your
that.
question?
My question is, when is it going to change? Because it's been like that since the 80s. It's
We're
unsafe.
addressing it in
We're talking about
litigation.
fire prevention, which Frank Woods does a phenomenal job in town, so I commend you. I commend all that you're doing for the fire prevention and carbon monoxide and smoke detectors. That's all well and great and good. You're supposed to be parked not within 10 feet of a fire hydrant. This said home is, I measured today, 8.5, maybe 9 if you're lucky. So you should be just over 10 feet if you want to be safe and get through if there's a fire, I'm hoping. The other thing about fire prevention is the overcrowding of the homes in town that just gets overlooked. You will not save these children if you don't know how many children are living in these homes. There are rooms, the basement, the attic, every bedroom has a family living in that. You won't save them. You don't know who's living in them. We don't know who's living in these homes. You won't save them because you won't know who to save.
Thank you for your comment.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on, but I just feel
Well, we have the
that
addresses given to us and we'll look into it.
it gets overlooked. Just like I called the police department
Every
today,
single house has it, so tell us where those houses are, we'll look into it.
I will be happy to provide a laundry list of homes because
Provide
it
to
just
the
gets
administrator,
overlooked.
We'll look into it.
It gets
And we'll enforce
overlooked.
it.
Okay, and how about the police officer that came over to 90 Bank Street today? Even though I said I measured and it was 9 feet, they decided to move on. They don't keep measuring sticks in their vehicles, which I get. that I offered to have somebody meet me there and explain it happens, it's 6 feet, 8 feet, 12 feet, every day it changes. And they leave their vehicles there. The 2-hour parking, there's no ordinance. There's no ordinance on any of those signs, so you can't legally enforce it. East side, west side, there's no ordinance. So how do you enforce something where this gentleman's saying 2-hour parking, people don't move their vehicles, how do you ticket if it's not enforced? If there's no ordinance, how do you ticket? Thank you for your time.
comments. Anybody else? Ms. Costa.
Thank you. Rosemary Costa, 140 River Road, Red Bank. This is a problem I have seen since at least the 60s. Riverview was given the parking lot for $1 on East Front Street. I don't know what the side street is, and it doesn't really matter. This problem has been kicked down the road by every administration. It continues to be kicked down the road. Riverview, Hackensack Meridian is now a teaching hospital. They have flooded our streets with their parking. They have flooded every parking lot that they can secure for their uses. And they don't want to use their own parking lots. They don't want to. They buy property after property. They own at least 8 properties that I know of. They have the Tuller Building, they bought Greenberg's Place, they bought the other Greenberg building. They have poured a lot of money into doing whatever with these properties. They inherited $5 million about 6 months ago. They refuse to do anything. Our streets are clogged between 3:30 and 4:30. The people coming out of the hospital, traffic has to stop. It's backed up to Prospect sometimes, not just Throckmorton, Prospect. Nobody can get down Front Street. It's absurd. And it's time that this town took the time and made some kind of parking requirements for this hospital. They are out of control. I don't hear anybody saying anything. I don't hear ever at any of these meetings anybody doing other than some kind of survey. We'll look into it, but it's not done. I'll be dead before something's done in this town. I guarantee you. It's not happening. Maybe the town needs to build another parking lot for them and sell it to them for $1. Or else you need to change the zoning laws in this town and require that they have people on their own property. They're using this town badly. Thank you. And I hope somebody takes this and runs with it because it's awful. The traffic's awful, the parking's awful. It has not changed in over 35 years. It's not getting any better. We're adding more and more condos, we're adding more and more living spaces, and it's flooded. It's a very unpleasant place to live at this point. On a scale of 0 to 10, the quality of living in this town, as I see it, is about a 3.5 to a 4. It's not good. Please, please, do something. Not just do your background checks and your surveys, and let's see what can we do about it. Do it. That's what government's for. Get it done. Thank you.
Anybody else? Ms. Burnham.
I'm sorry to come up twice. Cindy Burnham, 71 Wallace. I'm sorry to come up twice, but I wanted to piggyback off of what Ms. Costa said. She's noticed it since the 60s. I've noticed it since it's become a teaching hospital. And people are parking, these residents are parking on Mechanic, they are parking on Wallace, they are parking on Linden, they are parking on Washington. Seriously, something has to be done because what adds to the problem is the brush. No sooner did they pick up the brush in the historic residential zone, I got it all organized so we were all ready. Today, an absentee landlord puts out brush, takes up a parking spot. But the parking for the hospital has got to stop. We've got to get out of the residential zone. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. go.
Good evening, 25 Cedar Street. Mayor, I just wanted to bring up again, talking about it probably for the last year. And again, this is, I've been driving Bridge and Bergen. Now that it's getting darker, we have the kids at the after-school program, and they're walking and across the street from my house, they play in the playground, in the grass sometimes. There's a lot of pick-up and drop-offs in the morning. It's getting dangerous, and I'm not just complaining, because, obviously I'm running for election. I think bringing up issues at the last minute, when you want votes, I've been bringing up these issues throughout the year. And I'm not using them as a pawn. I really think there's an issue down there. I think whistleblowing in the last 40 days before a vote is kind of selfish, and my speaking here is not selfish. It truly is concerned. I watch these kids want to go to work in the morning and come home, and it's getting extremely dangerous.
Based on your previous comment on that intersection, I know that the chief has referred it back to traffic safety for taking a second look at it. The original indication was that the first time they looked at it, it was a very difficult maneuverability issue because of the two South Bridge and North Bridge do not intersect. You've got, there are 20 or so feet between them. So they are looking at it again. You've seen tonight that we did adopt the first four-way stops, two of them actually in the borough, and the plan is to keep on moving aggressively with more.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you though for reminding us, but they're giving it a second look based on those comments.
Mayor, just to piggyback on that for a second, Bridge and Bergen, Bridge and Dr. James Parker, and Bridge and Chestnut, with the bike lanes, they're great, but they've created extra room. And when people approach the stop lines there, anybody turning right in taxis, I'm not picking them out specifically because I see normal drivers doing it, but taxis in particular do not care about somebody who's trying to follow a four-way at Chestnut or waiting to make a left or a right at Dr. James Parker. And they move people bike lane, they have no disregard for anybody who's riding a bike or pedestrian who would be crossing at those intersections. So, Chief, I know when you're looking at those intersections, please be mindful that every time people come up to that, if somebody's not turning right or doesn't have a signal on, they always try to pass it down the right. It's incredibly dangerous.
Thank you. Anybody else?
No, it's not a right turn.
We don't have a need for executive session this evening, so motion to adjourn. So moved. Second.